and we are the co-presidents of CILU, our Citizens for Informed Land Use. Backstage are Archie Malonis and Mary Rose and Bill Little for IT support. CILU is a nonpartisan grassroots Holmdel organization started in 1998 to protect our open space and natural resources. Over our 22 years of existence, we have been successful at various open space preservation initiatives. We also advocate for government transparency, which requires an informed community. It is to that end that we are holding this candidate forum. One of CILU's most significant accomplishments has been the preservation and development of the Reminiscent Brook Greenway, formerly Trace Tract, into park and hiking trails. As you walk through the woods from Holmdel Park to Bayonet Farm, you will be enjoying one of the efforts of many volunteer members of Citizens for Informed Land Use. Now, on to the issues of the candidate forum. The event tonight is being live streamed, recorded, and will be posted on the CILU YouTube channel after the event. It will not be edited. If you are voting by mail, you will probably have received your ballot already and are just waiting for the results of this forum to decide how to vote. We want to give you the information you need to make an informed decision. On the general election ballot, there are 5 public questions. 2 are from the state on constitutional amendments, 1 regarding wagering on athletic events, and a second allowing organizations to conduct games of chance. Tonight, we are focusing on the Holmdel issues. There are 3 questions for Holmdel voters. Question 1 is about the open space tax. In 1998, Holmdel voters, with the support of CILU, approved the creation of a 1-cent tax per $100 of assessed property value to raise funds to acquire the wonderful Reminiscent property and other properties that enhance Holmdel. The tax rate was raised once in 2000 to 2.5 cents. For 20 years, it has been fixed. Due to rising costs and the finite supply of open space, the Township Committee has proposed to increase the open space tax by 1 cent. CILU is taking a position on question 1. To explain our position on the importance of open space is our CILU Vice President, Bill Little.
Hi, I'm Bill Little, VP of Public Affairs for CILU. As Karen mentioned, Holmdel residents have been supporting the Open Space Trust Fund for over 20 years. The program has been a big success. More than 600 acres have been acquired or preserved as open space, with funding at least in part from this fund. Open space is beneficial to all of us for a variety of reasons. There's environmental reasons because it provides area for wildlife and trees and flowers and acts as a buffer to reduce rainwater runoff and flooding. There are health and safety benefits because the fields and woods and farmland help to reduce noise pollution, air pollution, and water pollution. There's recreation benefits because we need open space for hiking, bird watching, biking, and organized sports.
Get by tax makes paper short.
There are financial benefits because open space has lower infrastructure and service costs than housing or commercial properties. And also there are property value benefits because proximity to open space is associated with higher property values for homeowners. Since the establishment of the Open Space Trust Fund, almost $16 million has been collected and almost all of it has been used for land acquisition, maintenance, and recreational improvements. That's great, but the costs of maintaining the open space increase along with everything else. And the few remaining undeveloped parcels in Holmdel are being eyed eagerly by developers. We need to preserve some of these properties now while we can, because as we all know, once they're gone, they're gone. That's why CILU strongly supports Referendum Question 1 to increase the open space assessment and ask you to do the same. Thanks. And now
Thank
back
you,
to
Bill.
Karen.
Okay. Thank you, Bill. The second question on the ballot is a vote on increasing the amount of the fixed annual contribution Holmdel makes into a retirement account for our volunteer fire department and first aid squad members. It's called LOSAP. Holmdel's Length of Service Award Program, known as LOSAP, currently provides an annual contribution of $1,150 per person. Question 2, if passed, will increase the annual individual contribution to $1,580. the maximum allowable by law. It also authorizes future cost of living adjustments effective January 2022 without the need for voter approval. CILU has no formal position on this public question. The third public question is a vote on whether to establish a nonpartisan charter study commission to investigate various forms of municipal government that could possibly replace our current township committee form of government. The Charter Study Commission may recommend a different form of government, or they may recommend no changes. If there is a recommendation to change the form of government, Holmdel voters will have an opportunity to vote for that change in a future election. Again, CILU has no formal position on this public question. On the ballot, we will also vote for the Charter Study Commission members who will be installed only if the Charter Study Commission question passes. There are 5 Charter Commission candidates here with us today. They are going to be spotlighted. So there are 5 people running unopposed for the 5 seats on the commission. You can vote for up to 5 people. All 5 candidates are here today, and I'd like to introduce them. We have Janet Burke, Gerald Buffalino, Kin G, C. Zachary Gilstein, and William Kastning. We had offered the candidates 1 minute each to introduce themselves, but they chose to have one person use the time to speak for them all. I believe Mr. G will be speaking for all the Charter Commission candidates. Mr. G.
Sorry, can I start over now? Good evening, and thank you, Karen, Regina, and CILU for putting together this candidates forum. As was discussed, there are 3 public questions on the November ballot, and question number 3 is whether Holmdel should establish a Charter Study Commission. Now, if the public question is approved by voters, the commission's charge is a very simple one: to study and explore how we can improve our local form of government in an open and transparent process. It will be done in public meetings with public input. And as Karen mentioned, if after that process, the commission recommends changes, these recommendations would then be subject to residents' vote in another public referendum. Holmdel is governed by a township committee that consists of 5 members who are elected at large on a staggered basis for a 3-year term. This is a form of government that's more than 100 years old. New Jersey has updated and modernized the framework for local government, and there are options available to Holmdel. Residents in town near Holmdel, in fact, have elected to modernize and change to some of the newer forms of local government. For example, Long Branch, Marlborough, and Tinton Falls have a form of government called Mayor Council, where the mayor is directly elected along with members of council. Other towns like Aberdeen, Asbury Park, Howell, Kingsburg, and Ocean Township chose a form of government called council manager, with or without the mayor being directly elected. Our township committee is limited to 5 members by law, even though the population of Holmdel has grown quite a bit in the last few decades. Most of you know that Holmdel's Board of Education has 9 members. These alternative forms of government allow for 5, 7, or even 9 council members to be elected. Members of our township committee are elected at large. This means that they don't represent any particular district. Yet another option that's available under the alternatives is to elect members of the council by district or wards. This may or may not be desired, depending on whether you think the district's interests are being fairly represented. So as you can see, there are different forms that may be worth studying, exploring beyond the township form of government. Now let me review what has transpired so far. The introduction of the ordinance for the public question was on the agenda at a July public meeting and was approved by the Township Committee unanimously. At this meeting, the Township Attorney explained that anyone interested could file to run as a candidate to serve on that commission. The ordinance was then formally adopted a month later in August meeting at a 4-to-1 vote, and the public question is now on the November ballot for Holmdel residents to decide. Just like other elected offices, anyone interested could file a nominating petition to run for the Charter Study Commission. As you see on the five candidates, and only these 5 who were interested enough to take the time and effort to file to run. This is a diverse group of 5 individuals that have shown by their civic duties and the willingness to serve Holmdel with its best interests at heart. They include former or current members of the Holmdel Township Committee, the Environmental Commission, the Planning Board, and/or the Zoning Board. You can get a lot more information about the candidates on our website, holmdelchartercom.org. It's one word, holmdelchartercom.org. Now, some of you may have heard or seen allegations, innuendos, or hilariously contorted diagrams that attempt to cast a shadow on the public question. One township committee member who voted yes to put the question on the ballot now incredulously alleges that, and I quote, "The Charter Commission has not been an open and transparent process," unquote. It is unclear whether he means to put the question on the ballot was not open and transparent, or whether he's alleging that the Charter Commission study of alternative forms of government will not be open and transparent, an allegation made before the commission has even been formed. We who are running for the Charter Study Commission believe studying and considering alternatives would be served to improve our local form of government. Don't forget, any recommendations that we would make or might make will be subject to a vote of approval or disapproval by all Holmdel residents. We ask that you vote yes to the public question number 3 to establish a Charter Study Commission. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you. Karen?
Thank you. Thank you very much for running for office here. I know how difficult it is and really appreciate people willing to put their names on the ballot. Now we are going to move on to the 2 candidates running for Township Committee. Joining us now are, we want to spotlight the candidates, Raul Didi on the Democratic ticket and Rocco Improviduto on the Republican ticket. The Charter Commission people may be now moved down to attendees. Please note, this forum is not a debate. Ms. Criscione will be asking questions that she has received from the public. She has organized them to reduce duplicates and remove biased and prejudicial language. We will not tolerate personal attacks. The forum will proceed in the following fashion. Each candidate will have 2 minutes to give opening remarks. Then Ms. Criscione will ask the questions and each candidate will have 1.5 minutes to respond. At the end of 1 minute, I will hold up a yellow card indicating 30 seconds remain. After 30 more seconds, I will hold up a red card indicating the time is complete and the candidate's microphone will be muted. Note, people in the audience cannot see the cards, but rest assured that the candidates can see the cards and will know when it is time to wind down the remarks. So Regina, where are you? You need to be spotlighted. Are you here too?
I'm here.
Okay, so I guess you're spotlighted. We will begin, Regina. Here you go.
Spotlighted.
Okay, no.
Person.
Huh? There you go.
Oh, here I am.
There you are. Okay. Very good. Regina and is ready to take over now.
Okay. Hello, gentlemen. Thank you for coming. Good evening. We are going to begin with the opening remarks in alphabetical order. We will then rotate who answers the questions first with each question. You may pass on any question. If you need a question repeated, please ask. Now for the opening statements, Mr. Didi, you would begin. You have 2 minutes. You have to unmute yourself.
Okay. Yeah, everybody can hear me now?
Yes, you may begin.
Yeah, hello, my name is Rahul Didi. I'm an investment professional. Just 1 second. Can we?
Mr. Didi, I am running your time, so you are using your time right now.
I'm using my time right now.
Yes, you are.
Hello, my name is Rahul Didi. I'm an investment professional. I've been a Holmdel resident for 20 years, and myself, my wife, and my daughter, who went to Holmdel schools, have been Holmdel residents for the last 20 years. My daughter went to Holmdel schools. I'm sorry, I'm having a problem connecting in. I'd like to say that I'm the only candidate who is a fiscal conservative, supports current open space initiative, and is for a clean and transparent government with no backroom deals. I'm the only candidate who has not collected any money from developers and from professionals. I'm the only candidate who supports all three of Mayor Greg Bontempo's key initiatives, supported by Deputy Mayor Weber and Committeeman Santana. Unlike my opponent, I will work hard to keep our taxes flat or low. You cannot be for lower taxes while proposing various forms of spending. You cannot be for open space.
Thank you.
Okay, now we'll start with the questions. The first one is for Mr. Impreviduto.
Can I do an opening statement? Sorry.
Oh, I apologize. Yes.
No problem.
Yes, 2 minutes for your opening statement. I'm sorry.
Thank you. No, not at all. So my name is Rocco Impreviduto. I'm the Republican candidate for Holmdel Township Committee. I graduated high school here longer ago than I care to admit, and moved my family back here about 8 years ago. And I have 3 kids in the district, 1 in the high school, 2 in Indian Hill. I have 3 wonderful boys and a great family, and we're proud of everyone here. You know, I go back further than most, and I remember what Holmdel was, and I remember, you know, what it was like to come here, and the culture that sort of enveloped us, welcomed us in. And for years since I moved back, you know, amongst my friends, I've been talking to them about all the things we can do for people here, you know, if we have the will and the skill to do so. And so, you know, now over the past 6 months, I've been able to promote those ideas publicly. These ideas, just to be very, very clear, are low to no cost. I'm not entirely sure where my opponent was getting his fiscal perspective from. But, you know, the thought of supporting our seniors, right, by providing free transportation to and from local medical appointments, the idea of ensuring that our children are safe, the idea of honoring our veterans by subnaming streets after them like Middletown, ensuring we support our first responders, opting into a New Jersey state law that allows us to get property tax credits against local purchases. I'm the only candidate that stood up and promoted the idea of a heritage committee to ensure that the diverse cultures within our town have a seat at the table and can speak to the township about the various challenges they're faced with, and we can work with them to find ways to celebrate their perspectives. I'm the only candidate willing to donate my salary to 3 organizations within the town: the Holmdel Theater Company, HYA, and the Half Century Club. I've spoken openly and transparently. Everything I've spoken about and said has been published. It has been on social media. It has been on actual media, Patch and Tap Into. And I frankly wear my heart on my sleeve for this town. I am of Holmdel, and I want to just represent Holmdel as best I can.
Thank you. Thank you. IT people, please don't mute me and Regina.
Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't realize I had been muted.
Yeah.
We're going to start with the questions. The first person to answer will be Mr. Impreviduto. And our first question is about the open space referendum. Do you support the referendum on open space? If the open space tax is approved, what Holmdel properties would you want to be at the top of that list? We can't hear
yes,
you.
This is Mr. Impreviduto.
That was my fault. Sorry, guys. I muted myself.
That's all right. We're all working on trying to reduce background noise. So, go ahead. Again.
Yeah, sorry. And I appreciate the perspective of CILU on this very much. I mean, this is a difficult question for me. I mean, it's been over 20 years since we raised the open space tax. I'm always mindful of tax increases of any kind, right? Even if we're talking about an additional cent for every $100. But that additional cent on a home that's paying $12,000 in taxes is $120 a year. On fixed income basis, it doesn't seem like a lot, but for some folks it is. Frankly, when I think about what this tax would be for, I'd like to get a better sense of where it will be applied to which properties from the mayor. I'd also like to get more confidence, frankly, that we're doing more to think about ways to promote, to preserve open space. Potter's Farm, the development at Potter's Farm to me was really troubling. The fact, I consider that very much a miss, frankly, in the grand scheme of things. And the development of a dementia center is an incredibly noble thing. And there's no doubt about that, but subverting the process and not finding a way to get creative, right? And frankly, preserving that land as the gateway to Holmdel was disappointing. So it's difficult for me to support a tax increase when I feel as if, frankly, we've dropped the ball in a couple of areas. To answer the second part of that question, gee, I really would have loved to have preserved Potter's Farm. That would have been that to me, as someone that remembers Cross Farm before there were fields on it. It would have been a really nice thing for us to do, and I'm still holding out hope they'll find a way.
Okay, Mr. Didi, would you like me to repeat the question?
Yes, if you could, please, because there are two parts to it.
Yes. Do you support the referendum on open space? If the open space tax is approved, what Holmdel properties would you want to be at the top of the list?
Well, I want to be clear that I do support the Holmdel open space initiative promoted by Greg Buontempo, our mayor, and I believe that the average tax per resident that it would come to is actually a very nominal number. And 1 cent per 100. I'm told that per resident it comes to about $70 to $80 a year, and I think that in order to get open space which is a major asset of ours, it would really be a great benefit to Holmdel. As far as Potter's Farm is concerned, I think that it's very important to look at all stakeholders and what appropriate project would be appropriate for Potter's Farm. There are certain community impact studies, that can be done for individual projects before any zoning variances, are allowed for a new project for Potter's Farm. I think that certain communities in Holmdel, particularly, for example, country woods would may be affected in certain ways as far as the location of the storage plant is concerned. And in short, all stakeholder interests need to be taken into account before.
Okay, time's up.
No. We seem to be having an IT problem. Mary Rose, apparently when Rocco is on, you can only see his verbal one and not his face. Can you spotlight both?
I can't spotlight the audio only. It doesn't let me do that. I've spotlighted the only one I can see, and on my screen I see Rocco's face.
I see it too.
I see it too, but you said the attendees are not seeing it?
Yes, I saw that in the attendee comments, and on my attendee screen, it's not showing either.
All right, so we need to do something different so that we can have.
I can, I can put my phone up here, I guess, to see if there's an angle that could work.
Okay, so now we can see him on
the attendee screen. You can see him on the attendee screen now?
Yeah.
Well, I just added a camera view, so I'm hoping,
Okay, good.
off my phone.
Okay, all right, good. So sorry, audience, we want to make sure everyone gets their fair shake and be seen.
An attendee said she saw him fine.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Okay,
Well, keep both on, we'll see what happens.
all right. That's good. Okay, I'm sorry, I lost track of where we were.
We're on to question number 2.
Okay,
Mr. Didi will answer first. This is a question about the charter study question. Explain the reasons you do or do not support the referendum question that appoints a commission to study Holmdel's current form of government and makes recommendations for a possibly improved form of government.
I think that Kinji made the case very well. I think that the case made, as I understood in summary, was that there's no harm in studying what type of government would be appropriate for Holmdel. I think that we've had one form of government where the mayor, for example, is elected indirectly, and so is the deputy mayor. And there is no harm in understanding what was good for the last 100 years when Holmdel was primarily a farming community. And that law, I'm told, was based on another law, which was from the 18th century. We are in the 21st century now. And I think that there's no harm in studying it, and let the study give us the appropriate proposal. I believe that we should have more power to the people, more transparency, and a clean form of government. And I think this may lead us closer in that direction. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Impreviduto.
Sure, and I've come out, again, in the interest of openness and transparency, I've come out publicly against the Charter Commission study. I agree that there's nothing wrong with studying something. However, I have a little bit of a different opinion on this, and there's a couple of reasons why. One, people make the government, not the structure itself, right? The way you solve for government's performance is by electing good people that want to do good things and want to do the right thing for a town. I think two, from my perspective, we have more important things to worry about. Of all the things that we have to consider and focus on right now, and I can tell you in every district I've knocked on doors in, roads are a passion of an infrastructure of our community. I feel like we're taking our eye off the ball, quite frankly, by going down this road. And three, it is my opinion, and I think, if anyone looked at this objectively, they would agree. I don't think this charter study is about you at all. I don't think it's about the voters in any way, shape, or form. I think it's about people trying to retain power. I think it's politics. And to be even more frank, I don't want to be compared to towns that aren't in our weight class, right? I don't want to be, I think Holmdel is an exceptional place to live. I don't want to be compared to Tinton Falls and Marlborough, then Asbury and Long Branch and all the rest. I want to be compared to the best in class towns of our, of New Jersey. And maybe they have different forms of government, maybe they don't, but that doesn't really carry weight for me. There's 12,000 voters in town. Only 5 people submitted petitions, 3 of whom are tied to township committee people and directly tied to their campaigns. Something doesn't smell quite right there. That's not, a crazy coincidence.
Okay, on to question number 3. Mr. Impreviduto will start. This is a question about the fire department question on the ballot. Do you support the referendum question number 2 as an incentive to increase fire department membership? What other ideas do you have to increase the number of members?
Unmute.
Wow, how did I get muted? Okay. You're talking about the LoSAP, right,
Yes.
Regina?
Yes,
yeah.
I am.
So yeah, no, I'm 100% in support of that. I mean, look, at the end of the day, we should be taking care of the people that take care of us. By increasing the LoSAP, we have an opportunity to drive greater recruitment for sure. We have an opportunity to retain our existing first responders for sure. And I think it's going to be paramount. We've got a new firehouse, and I'm not entirely sure how we're going to staff it. Or we got a new firehouse coming. I'm not entirely sure how we're going to staff it. I've also seen other states add income tax credits as another incentive for people to volunteer. I've also seen other states, really make heavy recruiting pushes, video, local businesses, graduations, et cetera, to really make a recruitment push and tie to the incentives, to these volunteer programs, to these first responders. And I am all for copying any idea that works for Holmdel. So, this is one of those, to me, if elected, you're always going to see me support our police and our first responders. You're always going to see me want to ensure that, public safety will always be paramount for me. It is, if 1 and 1A for me are, in terms of priorities, are public safety and taxes. And so, this falls right in that camp. And I think it's something that we need to do, quite frankly.
Okay, thank you. And Mr. Didi.
Well, I'm certainly supportive of, supportive of the LoSAP and the additional support that our fire department people, fire volunteers will definitely need, right? And in order to attract them to do the wonderful service that they do, and the fire department itself, I think is an extremely important service. I don't know why my opponent's father closed the fire department number one in southern Holmdel. I believe that certain five houses were even caught fire in South Holmdel. Our insurances went up. Our fire ratings deteriorated, which ended up resulting in our bond rating going down. So all these things are connected. And I think that we need to make all initiatives so that our fire department is handled adequately and the volunteers are encouraged to come and join. As far as security is concerned, I'm all for and supportive of the police effort. As I had said in my May CILU forum as well, my own father-in-law was the police chief of our state in India, and more power to the police, and security is extremely important. And
Thank
I'm very
you.
supportive.
Thank you. Next question is about taxes for Mr. Didi first. What are your plans to lower the real estate taxes? You have to unmute. You got muted. You have to.
Okay.
Okay. Oh,
Okay. I think as far as our property taxes are concerned, first and foremost, the Board of Ed, there is a discretionary spend if it is not brought in check. I think it is extremely important to be able to bring the additional operating expenses that are there in the Board of Ed, which result from, compared to other towns, from 7% to 11%, which is a 50% difference. That results itself in a $2.5 million difference. So if that some of that is brought in check, that may be able to bring our property tax down, and also maybe give some tax back to the people. As far as additional expenses are concerned, that have been talked about, I want to say by my opponent, I want to ask him a simple question. There used to be an ad in the 80s that Wendy's used to put out, where a long line and a little old lady used to be standing in that and asking for a burger. When the burger came, she would say, "Where's the beef?" Similarly, I want to be able to for us all to go to this map, which is on the township website, and to look at it. Let's pull the map up again. So that to look at it again, with the revenues on one side, expenses on the other side, and we have to keep a $4 million reserve
Thank you.
in order to. Okay.
Thank you. I'm sorry, your time's up.
okay, Mr. Impreviduto.
Take it on.
Yeah, I guess the question was about taxes. I'm not entirely sure what my opponent was just talking about. So I've laid out a pretty clear plan to stem the tide of property taxes here, right? It starts with zero-based budgeting, which I've said before, right? Going to every department, understanding what the fixed costs are, layering on the variable costs, looking at the next year coming and capping growth at 2%, and then making consumption choices from there. I also believe that when we have surplus, we should be giving it back to the residents. I don't think that's a controversial statement to make. The third part is, and I alluded to this in my opening statements, Governor Murphy signed into law in May, and Marlboro pioneered this, by the way, Marlboro, New Jersey, an opportunity whereby you can get local businesses to opt into a program so that anyone who shops locally gets tax credits against their property taxes. In Marlboro, that's an average of 8% per purchase. Now, it's New Jersey. You're never going to, stem the tide of property tax, right? The scourge of property taxes plague us all. But let's do a little bit. Let's do something here, right? Let's try to do a little bit better and a little bit more for our residents. You can show me all the flow charts you want, but it's not going to cost us anything to opt into a program that's going to provide relief to our taxpayers. And I think, it's, this is what we're talking about, right? The basics are showing charts and numbers. What are we doing about it, right? And what we should do about it is leverage the tools at our disposal. And that's what I intend to do.
Thank you. Okay, the next question.
Oh, can I say something? Remember, this is supposed to be a civil forum, and both candidates are starting to make little asides, and I don't like it. So just am putting that out there. This is supposed to be about the issues, and I want to be polite and issue oriented, not poking fingers at anybody, but I just saying it. Thank you, Regina.
Okay. Okay, the next question is, Mr. Impreveduto will start. This one is about open government. Because the Township Committee has gone back to in-person meetings, they are no longer allowing people to participate via Zoom. If elected, do you support members of the public to being able to speak remotely at TC meetings?
Absolutely. The more the better from my perspective. I think one of the things you realize when you go to Township Committee meetings is how few people are actually, engaged, right? There's a lot of the same faces over and over again. I think we should be providing, with the technology we have, we should be providing every opportunity we can for the community to engage, to voice their opinion, to be heard, and to get responses directly from their elected officials. I'm not, I'm sure there's good reason why it's been prevented, since they've gone back to live in-person meetings, but the rationale escapes me. I think, what's the harm in providing people more ways to engage, I guess is how I would think about it. So the more the merrier, bring it on. There's 17,000 people here. I would love it if every 2 weeks, 17,000 people were either in attendance or on a Zoom meeting.
That would be amazing. Okay, Mr. Didi, please unmute yourself.
Muted and muted. Can you hear me now?
Yes, you're fine.
Yes. I think that, again, it comes back to transparency and clean government. It's very important to have transparency and clean government, and participation by the people, is the best way to ensure transparency and clean government. And giving access to people in their in the comfort of their homes to participate in all proceedings of the township, to be able to raise and ask questions both in person and by chat. I think we have the technology for it, and I'm all supportive of it, so as to have a transparent and clean government and give access to the people.
Thank you. Okay, the next question, Mr. Didi will start. This one should be pretty quick. It's about campaign contributions. Have you accepted money from professionals, corporate entities, or PACs for this election?
I want to be very clear about that. I have accepted, as I said in my opening statement as well, I have accepted no money from developers, professionals, or any PACs as far as the financing of this campaign is concerned. I think it's very important not to be beholden to any such affiliations, any developers, professionals, or PACs. It's part of being being a candidate who is a candidate for the people and not there for certain lobbying interests.
Okay, thank you. And Mr. Impreveduto.
Yeah, I want to be clear. I have absolutely accepted money from professionals, and I've accepted money from residents. I accept any money that I've accepted for my campaign has been well within the rules that are established. We have very strict pay-to-play guidelines now in Holmdel, and I will adhere and abide by them to the fullest extent. I am running a campaign, and there are a lot of people, residents and professionals alike, that want to donate to it, want to contribute to it, and want to see me elected because they know that I have Holmdel in my heart. They know that I'm here for every resident of the town. They know that I am not partial to anybody or anyone else's perspective. I am simply partial to what's best for Holmdel. And that's all that matters to me. And that's what I've been stating now for 6 or 7 months. Again, I'm the only candidate that has a plan for just about every resident in town and every constituency to find ways to represent and support them. Where the money comes from, it's within the rules. I accept it within the rules, and I will abide by the rules of the Holmdel Township Committee when elected.
Regina? Uh-oh. I think Regina's frozen. Are you guys there? Okay, I will continue with the question. RG, do
Yes,
you want to come on and begin the questions and continue the questions? Do you have the questions in front of you?
I do not have the questions
All
in
right,
front of me.
All right, I do. Okay, I have the
Okay.
questions in front of me. So I will until Regina comes back. All right, the next question is on political allegiances. All township committee members should make residence a priority and not worry about adhering to political affiliation. What will you do as a township committee member to serve the people of Holmdel and not just your chosen party? Sorry, I wasn't keeping track of who started last time.
I think it's me on this one. I don't know though.
You're starting,
for sure.
yes, I think you're right. I think it is you because you were just finishing the other. Okay, so let's go ahead. Now I got to get my timer on. Okay, ready? Begin.
Sure. To me, it's very simple. There's one question by which we're supposed to govern here. What's best for Holmdel? Period, and that's it. I'm here for Holmdel. I'm here for the residents of Holmdel. I'm here for the taxpayers of Holmdel. I am a resident first and foremost. And when I think about what's best for the people, when I think about what's best for our town, I'm also thinking about what's best for our kids and for my kids in particular, right? Of course, and for our families. Political affiliation is incidental in this context, quite frankly. I've gotten, strong endorsements from the 2 top Democratic candidates for Township Committee from last year, in addition to a host of Republican former and current elected officials. Both sides of the aisle, if you will, support my candidacy. They know that I'm here for them. They know that I am here to do what's ever in the best interest of our town. We live here. We want to be good neighbors to one another. We want to make sure that the township is doing everything it can to support them, their interests, their families. And so it's actually really simple to me. I mean, you happen to be on one side of the aisle or the other from a political affiliation standpoint, but you're there to support the people of Holmdel, period. And that's what I intend to do. Party affiliation is not even secondary. I consider it tertiary in this instance.
Thank you. Mr. Diddy?
Yeah, I think I want to be clear that I am first and foremost. If you even look at the endorsements that I've received endorsements both from all 3, from Republicans and Independents and also Democrats. In literature that I've put out as well, both the county deputy mayor, who is a registered Republican, and the county and the committeeman, the Prakash Santana, who is an independent, and as well as Republicans who have supported me, Shilpi Khare and many others who have participated in our fundraisers. And of course, I am on the Democratic ticket, and I've been strongly supported by the Holmdel Democratic County Committee. And but I'm here for Holmdel, and looking at all interests. And I think that the platform that I've set out, which is 6 points, I plan to adhere by that, and that's what I'm here to defend and pursue. Thank you.
Thank you. Next question is.
I am back.
Thank goodness.
Sorry, I lost my internet.
Yes, all right. We did number 7, so you're on number 8 now.
Okay,
And,
Mr. Didi will start.
Yes.
Correct? Okay. This is a question about the relationship between the township and the Board of Education. What should be the relationship between the Board of Ed and our Township Committee? What is working and what would you do differently?
Well, first of all, I'm glad that in our meeting, the township meeting of July 15, I believe, there was a shared services agreement between the Board of Ed and the township that was signed. That was on a stepped up basis over a period of 5 years, from 10% to 50%, for security related issues as far as the school is concerned. The expenses will be shared initially 10% by the township and going up to 50% by the township. Looking at the fiscal issues, I think it's appropriately done that way. And so it needs to be a collaborative sharing of cost relationship between the two. But of course, the discretionary spend at Board of Ed needs to be also brought in check, so that we are able to appropriately and correctly assess our needs, and any type of additional revenue coming in, whether it's the pilot revenue coming in, it needs to be, of course, apportioned also for the Board of Ed. And we need to make our school system stronger. And for that, we have Board of Ed candidates who are running. And I understand that almost 60 to 65 or 68% of the budget of total collection of revenue in Holmdel goes for the Board of Ed. And
Thank
we are
you.
here to make.
Okay, Mr. Impreviduto.
Sure. Thank you. With all due respect, you just found out why you should vote for me. I don't think it should be touted that we are willing to spend up to 50% on school security 5 years from now. That's not success to me. Holmdel is a township of innovation. It's a township of excellence. Holmdel is 100%. How can we be proud of the fact that our township steps in and says, we'll give you 10% this year to protect our kids? And don't worry, 5 years from now, it'll be 50%. There's $300,000 spent on school security by the Board of Education. The township is responsible for public safety. This goes back to my point earlier about public safety being issue number one and taxes number 1A, right? The township, up until I made an issue of it in the spring, refused to pay for security at our schools. And then they came to bat and said, we'll give you 10% this year, and 5 years from now, it'll be up to 50%. When did we mistake mediocrity for achievement? When did we decide half measures were appropriate in this town? This is about standards and values and ensuring that we are supporting our kids and supporting the school district that so many of us moved here for. I think it's reprehensible that anybody can turn around and say, hey, look at how great we did. We're going to pay for half of the security at your schools. You give a drowning man a gasp of air, he's going to take it. Of course, the Board of Ed would take the help. But this money was promised more than a decade ago, and they just came to bat now. And it's not even the full boat. 50% 5 years from now.
Thank you.
Okay, the next question, Mr. Impreviduto will start. This is about affordable housing. Affordable housing mandates are driving the construction of multi-story apartment buildings, which are incompatible with Holmdel's character. How would you advocate for well-needed affordable housing while maintaining compatibility with existing housing in adjacent areas of town?
You have to unmute.
God, I don't think I did that. I don't know how that happened. Yeah, look, this is brutal, right? I mean, I don't know that I've seen this level of development in our town in all the years I've been living here, and even obviously coming back to visit family and friends. Look, infrastructure. The one thing that gets overlooked when some of these decisions are made is infrastructure, and where do we have the infrastructure to support these developments? Number one, and number two. The way to sort of stem the tide of overdevelopment, if you will, is ensuring there's no land to develop. And I think that's, you look at a town like Rumson, there's just not a lot of land there, right? They get hit with these COA mandates and everything else, but there's nothing to develop. How do you stop it? Preserve as much land as possible. Maybe that's a feather in the cap to the additional open space tax. We know in 2025, the next COA mandate is going to come down the pike. You've got to preserve as much land as possible. You've got to ensure that we have the right standards for the community in place. You've got to ensure the right people are on the right committees to ensure the culture of Holmdel persists. And you've just got to use every tool, as I mentioned, in your arsenal, a moment ago, to try to preserve and protect, the culture that's 150 years in the making here. It's a really, really difficult time. It's really disheartening to see what's going on the past couple of years.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Didi, please. Unmute yourself.
Yes, as far as affordable housing is concerned, it's important to plan it, first of all. And we have certain mandates as far as the state is concerned. Both we had it in 2025 and further on, we have certain COLA mandates that we have to adhere to. If we had planned it earlier, we would not have as much density of affordable housing that we have currently in the north side of town. Of course, it needs to be spread out in various parts of Holmdel, in smaller lots, as it is needed. But we can only do that if there is planning for it. And right at the moment, you got Palmer Square area, and then you got Barclay Square coming up, which is almost at the approval stage, and they have several flooding issues, and they have traffic issues, and there are all kinds of issues. If you talk to the residents there, as I've been campaigning there, I think it's important to plan affordable housing going forward, and I think planning is the key, but which we have been lacking in the last few years. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, this question is related to what you were just talking about, Mr. Didi. You will go first. This is about Palmer Avenue. Barclay Square, the development on Palmer Avenue, where there is a documented flooding issue, has been approved for a large apartment building. What actions would you take to address future flooding and protect the nearby residents? Well,
it's very clear as you go and campaign in the Palmer Avenue area, Palmer Square, the key issues are flooding and traffic. And even though there was a road that was raised, where Barclay Square seems to be coming up, and some flooding issues, at least as far as the road is concerned, have come down. But the flooding issue for Palmer Square does not go away, and again goes back to appropriate planning. And there was some talk about multi-apartment buildings, which would include some affordable housing as well, for the Potter's Farm area as an example, but without an appropriate community impact study, which would cover the interests of all stakeholders in one location or the other, whether it's in the South Beer Street area or the Potter's Farm area or the Cross Farm area. I think that without appropriate community impact studies, like the implant study or the University of Wisconsin Madison study, or there's another program by the UK-based Oxford Economics Studies. Without appropriate studies, how can you know which project is appropriate at which stage, and how do we optimize the?
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Imprivaduto.
Regina, would you mind repeating the question?
Sure. Barclay Square, the development on Palmer Avenue, where there is a documented flooding issue, has been approved for a large apartment building. What actions would you take to address future flooding and protect nearby residents?
Yeah, look, this goes beyond, studies, right? I think what needs to happen, back when this was coming down the pike, I didn't think that was an appropriate area for affordable housing, and I still don't, for the reasons that were just cited, flooding and traffic. And there were other areas to select from. They were not chosen. It is what it is. I think from this point forward now, because in my opinion, and it sounds like my opponent agrees, there wasn't the proper assessment done on where this should go, and a proper review or understanding of what the infrastructure could withstand. So now, it's not about studying things anymore. It's about fixing. And so the work and the assessing and assessments that have to be done are going to be very specifically be around what do we have to do? What additional construction, what additional engineering needs to take place to ensure the residents that are in that area are not negatively impacted by what's about to take place there. And listen, there's a lot of people very upset about it in both towns, frankly. And I think we're in agreement. The proper steps weren't taken, and now we're in a bit of a pickle, I'd say. So I'm sure there's going to be investment that has to come with this. And I'm sure there's going to be a heck of a lot of work that's going to have to be done to make sure that, we've got a suitable arrangement for all those that are going to be impacted in the area. I don't know what it's going to look like, but I know we're going to have to get to work.
Okay, thank you. The next question is about recreation. Mr. Impreveduto will start. Much of the recreation conversation has been about building new fields for the sports enthusiasts in town. What would be your criteria for allocating recreation funds for other groups in our community, such as seniors?
Yeah, look, I think I'm on record with my opinion that we should be doing more for our seniors. And forgive me, I never know which camera to look at right now. Look, I think the first part is you have to quantify, right? You have to get an understanding of, what you can do and how many of our seniors it will impact in a positive fashion. I think there are some very simple things we can do, and it won't have to be, it doesn't have to be a focus on building or paving or anything like that. I think we can frankly, set up a transportation service to Bell Works. There is an enormous property there, both indoors and outside, where residents can walk, where seniors can walk and get exercise if they want to attend a bar method class, right? Any of those things. There's an opportunity there to tie them more closely again to our community and to leverage the tools that we have in our toolkit already. So I would start there, right? Where do they have access, and where can we provide better access, for them? In terms of investments, I'd have to look at the study and see, and I'd have to get an understanding from our seniors. I'd probably want to do a survey. What are they interested in? Could be pickleball, could be bocce ball, could be any one of those things. But let's support them. They comprise about 24% of our town. So let's make sure that we're supporting them appropriately. So I think there's ample opportunity to, at a minimum, connect them to areas within our town that are going to benefit them physically.
Thank you. And Mr. Didi, please unmute yourself.
Hello. Yes. First of all, there is a recreation advisory committee headed by Deputy Mayor Weber, and they have come up with some excellent suggestions, both regarding walking trails and bike trails and certain issues which are not only for seniors but for youngsters and for adults as well. I think we need to pursue that further. As far as the Half Century Club is concerned, there are several activities that the Half Century Club ask its seniors, what type of activities they would like to participate more in. I think conducting an appropriate survey amongst them would be an initial start to understand the needs of the seniors as far as recreation is concerned. Now, the question was pertaining to recreation, and I'm not going to go into what are the needs of the seniors besides recreation. But it's very understood. To me, it's very clear that the one thing that the seniors most need is lower taxes, and not all this political pandering that my opponent has been talking about. And free bus service for medical, et cetera, et cetera. We're going to have insurance costs, for that. We're going to have costs for discounting of that is concerned, as far as busing and all that is concerned. Whether the town can afford it, we have.
Thank you.
Time's up. Okay.
I don't like accusations of other people's positions, just saying.
Thank you, Karen.
Go on, next question.
Okay, the last question is from Mr. Didi will start. This is about the police. Are you happy with the funding / support that the police department receives from the township? Would you advocate for, quote unquote, defunding the police? And please unmute yourself.
Yes, could you just repeat that question towards
Sure.
the end of?
Are you happy with the funding/support that the police department receives from the township? Would you advocate for quote unquote defunding the police?
I'm certainly not for defunding the police. I'm all for supporting the police. As I described earlier, my own father-in-law was a very respected chief of police who took care of the interests of all communities within the state. I'm all for providing appropriate support to and safety issues for all communities of all communities of Holmdel, and the police are an essential element for that. And I'm all for supporting that effort. And as far as what are the budget requirements to support that, I think that the understanding and talking with the budget team of Holmdel Township and in taking a closer look would be appropriate before any further comments can be made as far as budgeting issues are concerned. But I'm all for complete support for the police. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. Impreviduto.
Yeah, sure. Look, I'm on record, right? Public safety is my priority. Supporting our police and first responders is unquestioned. And ensuring that we do that both financially, spiritually, and any other way we can, it should be done. I noted that we dedicated, I think, about $600,000 in the new bond to new police locker rooms. I think we have a fabulous police department here. We always have. And I think they should get the full-throated support of the Township Committee and the residents within Holmdel. I think they work really hard to protect and serve everyone across our town. And I think that they need our support, quite frankly. I think they need to know that all residents have their backs, if you will. We're in very unusual times. And I think that, being proud of our police department and dedicating ourselves to them as they dedicate themselves to us is really critical for our town. And again, fits within our culture and who we are in Holmdel and the values that we instill in one another.
Thank you. Okay, we're finished with the questions section. You did very well, both of you. Thank you. Now we'll do the closing statements and Mr. Impreviduto will start. You have 2 minutes.
Sure. And I very much appreciate this, and to everyone on the call, thank you so much for taking the time to listen to myself and my opponent. I think you see some very clear differences here. I've laid out a platform that doesn't call for massive incremental investments in anything. All it calls for is will. It calls for want to do more for seniors, to want to do more for our youth, to want to do more for our veterans, to want to preserve open space, to want to find a way to battle the scourge of property taxes, to want to find and develop a more inclusive government for all of the cultures and communities within our town. Our township is a wonderful, wonderful town. In these instances, I feel as if we lack the want to, right? And it's really about the desire and the drive to do these things. The financial implications are incidental at best. $50,000, under $50,000, to provide free transport to seniors to and from local medical appointments. It's like 0.2% of our township budget, right? If you don't support them, then who are you supporting, right? So this is an election about ideas. It's an election about vision. It's not an election about finding ways to say no. It's an election about finding ways to say yes. It's about remembering why we all moved here, the why, right? Why did we come to this town? Because the why itself unites us, right? The why is what brings us together. The why is what reminds us that we're neighbors. The why reminds us that we're all here for the betterment of our town, our families, our neighbors, and our children. And I think, that's probably the largest contrast between myself and my opponent. I am excited for the opportunity to serve you guys at a much higher level. And as I mentioned, I'm the only candidate that's willing to donate his salary. This is public service to me, nothing more, nothing less. I'm here for the residents of Holmdel.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Didi, you will finish up with 2 minutes.
Yeah, am I unmuted?
You're fine.
Okay. Well, this is a very important election. There are several important issues here in front of us. I believe I'm the right candidate to help preserve open space, lower taxes, and to ensure a clean and transparent government. I believe I will ensure a better quality of life. I support the Charter Commission, and I hope it will come up with a recommendation that will give more power to the people. I will always be an honest broker and tell you the truth and not pander for votes. I'm in this race to serve the people. I'm the only candidate who understands what is required to lower our debt and maintain a AAA rating, which is very, very important for us. If you want to reduce tax or whatever you want to do, AAA rating is the key. I support all the three key initiatives of Mayor Bontempo. I'm not beholden to developers or professionals. I support the current space initiative and will continue the good work of former Mayor Larry Fink and former Deputy Mayor Janet Burke to preserve our open space. Reminds me of a famous Kenyan saying, treat the earth well. It was not given to us by our parents. It was loaned to us by our children. I support clean energy as long as it is economically viable for our residents. I believe in diversity and inclusion within the township administration and will strive to eliminate racism in all forms. Let me finish with a famous saying by the Chinese philosopher Confucius. Life is very simple, but we insist on making it complicated. There is only one race, the human race. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Karen, back to you.
Thank you very much. And again, I would like to thank the candidates for coming here. And I did notice the question and answer. Some people were castigating me for castigating you for attacking, but I think that for the most part, we had a very nice civil conversation and appreciate everyone staying to the issue. So now we are going to move on to our Board of Education candidates. Mr. Didi and Mr. Imprividuto can go become attendees now. And the Board of
Thank you.
Thank you guys very, very much for coming and being a part of this. Because of the interest in the Board of Education campaign, we have slightly modified our format. Each candidate will introduce him or herself for 1 minute. Then they will be asked 4 questions by Ms. Cristione. The candidates were given the questions last week. So we're giving them each 1 minute to answer each question. To conclude, the candidates are invited to give a closing statement of 1 minute. They will have the same yellow card, red card warnings that the Township Committee candidates had. So we have now in front of you our 6. We're so lucky to have 6 Board of Education, 6 people willing to run, give up their time to be in the Board of Education. So we have Sarika Kohler, Christy O'Connor, Jill Perez, Kimberly Tusilo, Terrence Wall, and Wei Peng Wang. Regina may begin. So, oh, wait a second, we need Terrence Wall. Yes, there we go. So all the candidates now have been spotlighted, I believe. And Regina, you may begin your part.
Okay, welcome everyone.
Thank you.
We will begin with opening remarks in alphabetical order. We will then rotate the first question through each candidate. You may pass on any question. If you need a question repeated, please ask. For the opening statements, Dr. Kalor will begin. You have 1 minute.
Thank you. I'm Surika Kolor. I live and work in Holmdel, where I've run my eye practice Bayshore Ophthalmology for the last 20 years. Unlike a lot of you, I did not grow up in this town. However, I made my way through 3 different continents before settling in Holmdel as my home. Its school rankings were a big draw. I love this town. I've served here as a doctor, taking emergency calls at the local hospital. I teach surgery residents at SUNY Downstate University. When my sons left for college, I decided to serve in other areas as a member of the Green Team and the Zoning Board, and that's what brought me here. I think we can all agree that our schools are in a state of disorder despite better facilities. Teachers are leaving, rankings are dropping, parents and students are left in the dark. All this is also affecting our property values. We can work this out, but only if the board is responsive to teachers, students, and parents. This is what I can bring if elected to the BOE.
Thank you. Okay, next to speak will be Christy O'Connor. Ms. O'Connor, you have 1 minute.
Good evening, and thank you to CILU for this opportunity. My name is Christy O'Connor, and I would be honored to serve on the Holmdel Board of Education. I am the mother of 4 boys in grades 3, 6, 7, and 9 here in our district. I am a lifelong Monmouth County resident living in Holmdel for the last 14 years. I graduated from Marlborough High School and went on to Villanova University, where I received my Bachelor of Science in Civil Engineering. I spent 8 years in construction management, where I worked in pre-construction, field operations, cost engineering, and closeout. I will bring this experience and skill set to our board as we continue to make improvements to our school facilities and stay fiscally responsible with our budget. I have held leadership positions in different local moms groups, and I currently serve as treasurer for the SATS PSG. I have a heart for service, especially for serving children and their families. I am running for the board based on the simple idea that every child should be able to get an exceptional education here in Holmdel. I am committed to enriching educational experiences for all Holmdel students.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next will be Jill Perez. Ms. Perez, you can go.
Okay. It's a pleasure to be with CILU and our Holmdel community this evening. My name is Jill Perez, and I'm grateful for the opportunity to share my interest in a Board of Education position. I'm a wife and a team, and like many in town, I moved to Holmdel for the education. I have also spent 20 years in the field of education wearing many hats. I've taught middle school mathematics and social studies. I've worked as an adjunct professor at Rutgers University, and most recently I'm employed by St. Paul University, where I supervise student teachers. I'm also a yoga and meditation teacher, and I bring this practice into every part of my life. My experience has provided insight into ways in which we can enrich educational experiences for all of our students. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Kimberly Tusillo. Ms. Tusillo.
Hi, my name is Kimberly Tusillo, and I've lived in Holmdel for 35 years. My parents and my 3 sisters, along with their respective families, all reside here in Holmdel. My husband, David, and I have 4 children, 1 who's already graduated from Holmdel, and 3 who are currently enrolled in our schools. I have served as a speech language pathologist, a member of the child study team for special education for 21 years. I'm proud to be employed by the Holmdel Township School District, where I have also served as a union building rep for the last 10 years. In this role, I have served as a mediator between building staff and administration. I originally decided to become a building representative to give back to my professional community and give a voice for those who couldn't speak for themselves. I'm running for the Board of Ed to give back to my home community and give a voice for our community members and students. I believe my experience in education helps to bring a unique perspective not presently on the board. I hope with your vote, I'll be able to represent all parties.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Mr. Wall, Terrence Wall.
Am I unmuted?
You're
Yes.
fine.
Okay, thank you. My name is Terrence Wall. I'm asking you for your vote for re-election for the Holmdel Board of Education. I'm a lifelong resident, a graduate of Holmdel High School. My wife Jeannie and I are raising our 4 children, Gigi, Charlotte, Maria, and Teddy here, and I thank them and love them so much for their support. By background, I served as a volunteer EMT for nearly a decade. I also was elected 9 years to the Holmdel Township Committee, where we preserved the Chase Track, F&F Nurseries, De Palma Farms, Phillips Park. I was the charter chairman of the Open Space Advisory Council. This school has our beautiful, fantastic school that's very successful, has a $68 million budget. It dwarfs the Township Committee. I have no conflicts of interest. I do not work or represent the union. As the lead negotiator on the contracts this year, I'm able to fully get engaged. Here are some firsts for Holmdel Township. First of all, we were first to open schools full-time during this pandemic, in person. Remember the joy in the children's faces. Also, the first tax cut in so many years. That's fiscal responsibility, and full-time kindergarten, #1 in Monmouth County. Thank you.
Thank you. And last but not least, Mr. Wang.
Good evening, Regina. Thank you, and thank you, CILU, for giving me the opportunity to meet the people and introduce myself tonight. My name is Wei Ping Wang. I have lived in the Holmdel for almost 20 years with 3 children who have either complete or is still going through Holmdel school systems. I decided to run for Holmdel Board of Education this year because I have attended most of the BOE meeting past several years. Sadly, I have seen BOE deterioration in transparency and communications to the parents, and it's increased strain of the relationship with school administrator and the teachers. In addition, the school worsening the education quality and the student declining academic performance. I'm running for BOE to make Holmdel School better again.
Thank you. Okay, now we'll start with the questions which you've all received. The first one, we will start with Ms. O'Connor. Aside from COVID, what is the most pressing issue that needs to be addressed? How would you address it moving forward?
The most pressing issue that needs to be addressed is transparency and communication. Transparency and consistent communication with the community, along with accountability and responsiveness, are critical to the health and success of a school district. Transparency develops trust and confidence in both our school board and school leaders, which in turn foster strong relationships between the administration, teachers, faculty, and community. These relationships should be a model to our students of what makes a healthy, functioning society. I also believe that transparency with our parents is imperative in regards to curriculum. Many people may not be aware of the new curriculum being incorporated into health and sex education throughout the state. It is possible that these standards may impact other classes and subjects as well. It is very important that the board is diligent in providing transparency to our families as these new curriculum standards are implemented in our district.
Thank you. Next is Ms. Perez.
Okay. Currently, we are educating Generation Z, and this generation has been referred to as the loneliest generation. Generation Z has the highest rates of mental health challenges. Social media, societal stress, and developmental disabilities have had many implications on our students. This is the generation in which families are raising children with increased special needs. As a community, we must recognize these challenges in our society and provide meaningful services for our students and their families. Right now in New Jersey, there's actually 5 school districts that have a rate of autism of 1 in 17. Holmdel doesn't have this rate, but we need to make sure we can provide for our students that do have special needs. In order to serve these students, we do need smaller classes and we need a host of therapeutic services. Holmdel as a district must strive to ensure that all of our students receive an excellent education. This education will be as diverse as our students, but it's essential that we rise up to meet these complex issues and invest in the greater good for our.
Thank you. Mr. Cillo, you're next.
One of the greatest issues we face is a lack of a permanent superintendent with a clear vision for our district. With administration and leadership concerns being addressed in future questions, I would shift my focus to the lack of transparency that exists between the BOE and its stakeholders. The board routinely uses slip sheets or addendums for their meeting agendas, which are last-minute add-ons that the public is not aware of. A recent example includes the hiring of the Indian Hill vice principal. The public had no knowledge that the position was being discussed or voted upon. We were not given the name of the individual up for hire, and we were not given the proposed salary. While an add-on may be necessary occasionally, it should not be the routine occurrence that it is now. It prevents the stakeholders from participating as informed advocates. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Wall, you're next.
Thank you very much. And I think wonderful comments from all the folks here tonight. Success in academics in the arts and athletics, it's always pressing. You want to be able to do all things well. I'm not a one-issue candidate or a one-issue complainer. As a board of 9 people, all the folks have their different interests and ideas. I got involved in the Board of Education not because I was happy the way things are running, it's because I wasn't happy, for folks who know me. An example now, hiring a new superintendent is very important and it's underway. And that'll be in conjunction with the public, our teaching staff, and all the other folks that are stakeholders in the community. A pressing issue though always is if there's an issue that's important to a family, that they know that they can reach out either to the board members or to administration. Folks should feel empowered. The folks that work for the district and the Board of Education work for the parents, the children, and the taxpayers. And they should be empowered to reach out and get results delivered to them for their concerns, regardless of what they may be during the school year. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Wang.
Yeah, the most pressing issue I see is transparency and communications. I have recently published 2 articles on the page about this one. My first article is about repeated shuffling of the school principal and the assistant principal and the resignation of those who have been shifted. Our BOE never tried to provide parents any explanation of the why. My second article brought the public attention on federal government sponsored free lunch. Our neighbor township provided to their students, but we never. There may be pro and con for the program, but our parents have a right to know about it. That right was taken away by our BOE. We have to address this one to improve our transparency and communications. There's a lot of ways to do that, but at least we should make our subcommittee meeting public again.
Thank you.
Sorry. Dr. Kalor, you're next.
Our rankings are dropping. We can address this only if we agree on measuring our performance. Not having any measure at all is not acceptable. In the past, we spoke with great pride about our national and state rankings. Now we started talking about our rankings in Monmouth County, which is a very big come down. I'm going to share a screen can you see the screen?
Yes.
All right. So these are rankings from 2008 on one end to 2018 on the other end. I picked 2018 because that was well before the pandemic even set in. The schools in green have maintained their ranking below 50 over the last 10 years. And the schools in red, which is Holmdel right here, has dropped over the last 10 years. I'm not talking about 1 or 2 years, I compared over 10 years. I also want to go over a few other criteria. If you compare apples to apples, Holmdel from 2000.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I couldn't find myself to unmute. Okay, the next question, we'll start with Ms. Perez. What is the best way to support the health of the children during the pandemic?
Well, my children that attend Village and Indian Hill are loving the fact that they play outside and they eat a smile. So I do believe that a connection to nature and a more natural interaction with their peers is essential to the well-being of our children. It's also great to know that Holmdel is continuing to offer things like a normal gym class for our kids where they're able to fully exercise. My daughter, who goes to communications, is running on a treadmill with a mask, and they tell her not to exercise too much. In Holmdel, that's not the case. The kids have an opportunity. So teaching our students about physical fitness and well-being is essential to promoting health. If we can instill this importance in them at a young age, they're going to grow up to be healthier adults. So Holmdel is teaching them to enjoy nature, to drink water, to breathe, to rest, and all those other components that really aid to their well-being. Thank you.
Thank you. And Ms. Tasillo, please.
The current Board of Ed members and administration really did do an outstanding job opening our schools full-time since December of 2020. I believe we should continue to follow state mandates, and moving forward that the district should look to implement trauma-informed practices in schools. These practices help identify and assess traumatic stress and would allow for an understanding of how trauma affects behaviors in students and in colleagues, creating a shift in teacher-student and teacher-teacher interactions and strengthen student outcomes through a healthier learning environment. In the most simplistic terms, it's supporting the mental health of both our students and staff through detection and providing appropriate resources. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Wall is next.
Thank you. And I'd like to thank Ms. Tusilla for recognizing something that is so important. The schools are open. I was on the Buildings and Grounds Committee and a key member of the folks who pushed to make sure that against all odds, our beautiful kids are back in school full time. So to answer your question, it's simple. Keep the schools open and in person. Connect people. Support our teachers. They're making our classrooms fun. Let's embrace the work that they're doing and encourage it. Be there for the children from a mental health perspective, and also have a keen eye and drug use and what I call the anti-social media that provides a dopamine drip to folks that are dependent on their phones. We got to reconnect, get kids outside and together. I'm here about results. I hear a lot of complaining about the district, which ties to supervision, supervisors, not the board. But let's stick to the basics and let's keep Holmdel fantastic, a fantastic district, which it is. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Wang.
Thank you. I think children have two major aspects, physical and mental. In the first phase of dealing with COVID impact on the student health, we have focused mainly on physical aspect. Of course, there are still some loose ends, such as lunchroom lacking social distance. But more importantly, from now on, thanks to broad vaccinations and the success of COVID medicines, we should now switch attention to mental health that COVID brought to our students, such as anxiety, isolations, and the social awkwardness.
Okay, thank you. Dr. Kaloy, you're up.
Yes. There are two parts to health, physical and mental. First, for physical health, we need to protect our children from the virus in order to keep the schools open. We have to follow CDC and state guidelines. They are limited and flawed, but that's the best we have. For mental health, as it is, school is stressful, and now with the limitations of the pandemic, things are getting much worse. The pediatricians I are seeing a large increase in mental health issues. Keeping schools in person is helping, but most importantly, we need many more counselors to be readily available to children. Right now, counselors are expected to wear multiple hats like college prep. We need some dedicated counselors dedicated to mental health. To make matters worse, the board got rid of the position of Director of Guidance last fall, which is very poor timing. We need to address that as soon as possible.
Thank you. And Ms. O'Connor, you're last.
I'd also like to recognize the safety measures that our district implemented to get the schools back open safely, including the HVAC filtration units, UV lighting, temperature scanners, antimicrobial coatings on surfaces, and more. Holmdel was one of the first schools in the area to return to full day in-person instruction, so maintaining that schedule definitely supported the health of the children. As a district, it is imperative that our teachers, administrators, guidance counselors, and school psychologists recognize changes in the students because of the pandemic safety measures in place, such as masking, plexiglass, social distancing, loss of cafeteria lunch, etc. We know that our children have grown accustomed to these measures, but we need professionals to assess whether these changes are having any implications on their well-being. Ultimately, no one knows the health needs of a child more than their parent. So I think parents need to have a say in all health matters. As a mother of 4 children, I know that every child is different, and we need to allow parents to make the best health decisions for their children.
Okay. Thank you. Now for the third question, we will start with Mr. Cillo. Why do you think our schools have had a revolving door of principals and superintendents over the past several years? What would you do to ensure stability at the administrative level?
I don't think it's a coincidence that during the past year and a half, we've had an interim superintendent that has led to a rash of administrators leaving our district without many qualified candidates seeking to replace them. I think we need to be investing in the development of our teachers and administrators to lead our district into the future. We need individuals that have a vested interest in our children and their success. It's my belief that the stability starts at the top with the superintendent of schools, a well-constructed and thorough search that includes input from all stakeholders. With that in place, they should possess the skills necessary to determine the best placement for our existing administrating staff while bringing in key components that are missing. In the end, the goal is to ensure that we have the right people in the right spots. It's not about shifting needlessly just to move people around, which has been too common practice here. It's about putting people in the correct position to succeed. Once everything is in place, we provide them with the tools and the resources they need to succeed. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Wall.
Thank you. It's a great question. A couple different things here. Just so folks know, the superintendent makes the recommendations and the board approves the recommendations. A lot of the shuffling happened with prior superintendent McGarry. who is no longer with the district. That's one area of rotating chairs. Second, were many COVID retirements that we had during the last period of time. And third, there are changes that happen in organizations, particularly when you're looking to increase the rankings. I hear the district being bashed by a couple candidates tonight. Our rankings are #1 in Monmouth County Public Schools on one ranking system. But to increase your rankings, you have accountability. Accountability does start at the top. It starts with the superintendent. It starts with the principals and supervisors. So when you make strategic changes, a superintendent does, to deliver measurable results that result in increased rankings, stable taxes, and a school system that we continue to be proud of, the one I grew up in, that is organizational change that matters. And we're in a stable place right now. The superintendent search is ongoing, and it should be concluded very shortly. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Wang is next.
Thank you. This is a very good question. I don't know why. That reflects exactly the problem I have been talking about, transparency. We have never been told why the shifting. We have never been told why former superintendent Mr. McGarry left. We have never been told why BOE not start a search for last 15 months. As a parent, I'm very disappointed that our BOE is not including parents for our own children's education. Judging from recently departure of the school administrator and the highly experienced teachers, I suspect they're facing the same lack of transparency issue with BOE. To ensure the stability of our school, inclusiveness is the key. Our BOE need to stop behaving as security society, and we should include all stakeholders for our children's education. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Kalor.
First of all, this question should be answered by the BOE. They should have been transparent and explained to us what happened instead of leaving us in the dark. I think this is because BOE did not have a clear vision on what they wanted and who they should be hiring. It's also a hostile us versus them kind of mentality that's driving staff away. We got the schools open, which was great, but we did create a deep divide with the teachers. It could have been handled with more sensitivity. We all know that staff retention is the key to success, and that means making teachers feel valued and respected. Teachers teach children, not buildings. For stability, I'd focus on 4 things. Collaboration, get the buy-in of parents, students, community, and teachers as a part of decision making. Accountability, take responsibility for the falling morale and fix it. Communication, let people know what you're doing and why. Transparency, just post the agenda 48 hours ahead of time so parents can pick the items that are of interest to them and let people know what you're doing.
Thank you. Ms. O'Connor.
Mobility is rampant in many school districts, and ours is one of them. To ensure stability, there must be ongoing communication between the community, teachers, administration, and Board of Education. With open communication, we can work together to achieve the goals set forth by the administrative team. I believe promoting from within is a valuable tool. Existing employees of a district typically show a commitment to their students and have a strong working knowledge of the community, which would hopefully lead to stability of the position. When other employees see their colleagues being promoted, they will see opportunities for themselves to advance as well. We must work together as a district with the staff that has the desire to move into administrative roles. We can support them through further education or securing experience so that as they seek these positions, they are embedded in our district and committed to the students of Holmdel. We must also consider growth and administrative potential for all school hires. I think a good example of this is the recent appointment of the high school principal, Matt Kokoda. We can support Mr. Kokoda as he transitions into his new role, just as he can support.
Thank you.
Thank you. And Ms. Perez.
Okay. I feel our students are always watching and they deserve lasting role models. It is hard to justify to students why so many administrators and teachers have left. There's been at least 10 since 2020. As an educator, I have always been an advocate of building relationships and fostering trust in our schools. And when I first read this question, I thought about, the importance of all relationships, amongst the administrators, amongst the families, amongst the students. And it made me think of the founder of Nike, Phil Knight, who really created the product Nike because he just always wanted to stay around his track coach. So when we think about this type of partnership, we need to think about how we can build this type of community in our schools, one that promotes a genuine and to ability and loyalty. One method is to promote within. And if we hire the best candidates for our students, then we really need to make a greater effort to retain them, right? We only want to hire the best, and therefore we want to keep them there. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, the next question, the final question will be, Mr. Wall will start. The question is, what qualifications are you looking for in our next superintendent?
That's a great question. The same qualifications I would look for in my work running municipalities as the chief administrative officer. You need to be well aligned with the community, which includes the parents, the children, and our teachers who you need to work with every day on a productive level. You're going to be a very nice person. You're also going to be competent. If you don't possess both of these items, you won't be our next superintendent. Also, resumes are very important, but the education industry has many incompetent people with fantastic resumes. So working with the parents and the teachers and staff and the community and between the board members, we can fashion a candidate and interview a candidate and come to a transparent and reasonable conclusion. And once all the candidates have an opportunity, to share with us what they will bring to Holmdel District, we'll be able to make a transparent, open, and fantastic conclusion to that question. The next leader of the school community has to capture all of the goals and objectives of the folks that are on the Zoom call, the folks that are watching,
Thank you.
and the teachers. Thank you.
Mr. Wang, you're next.
I see 3 qualifications that are critical for our future superintendent: priority, motivation, and execution. On priority, we need a superintendent who care about development of our children, who can put student interest ahead of everything else. On motivation, currently morale is low among school employees. We need a superintendent that can rally the administrators, teachers, and the staff together, make them feel better. They make them feel respected and trusted. On execution, it's not hard to see our direction, our school, which is the better academic performance, happier and healthier students. We need a superintendent that can do much better execution of the plan to achieve our goal. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Kalor.
I'd like to look for someone who's seasoned, experienced, and has already shown some success in dealing with the board, students, and teachers. We need someone with a clear, broad vision for our school, both short and long term. They need skills to communicate that vision then transparently to make that vision happen. We need someone who embraces innovative teaching methods, who can use data to make decisions and solve problems. At the same time, emotional intelligence is just as important to bring people together. A strong leader needs to be able to listen and incorporate input from everyone concerned. In the end, they have to be able to work with the board to make the school run well.
Thank you. And Ms. O'Connor?
I am looking for a superintendent with experience. Although it is always good to learn from mistakes, I want someone who has already learned from their mistakes. I also want someone who is visible. A good superintendent is not someone who stays in their office, but a leader who is out in the schools, in the classrooms, and in the community. They will be someone who has firsthand knowledge of what is going on in the district and not someone who is just told what is going on. A good superintendent takes an active role in their district and in their community and is visible to all. A qualified superintendent is also a proven listener and strong communicator. They both listen to and communicate clearly and consistently to staff, students, and the community. A good superintendent has a clear vision for the district that provides the best learning environment for all students. To do this, they must foster a positive work environment for their staff to ensure that all work together to achieve their goals and work toward that vision. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Perez, you're next.
Our next superintendent must act with integrity and bring our community together, leading with our children's best interest in mind. This means recognizing that one size does not fit all and embracing a mindset that encourages multiple intelligences. Our students all learn differently, and our curriculum must reflect this richness. When hiring the next superintendent, it's important to have an emphasis on all different subject matter. For too long, our students have been exposed to watered down curriculum. For the better part of a decade, science and social studies have taken a back seat. The hiring of supervisors and support staff have also reflected this neglect of certain subject matter, certain subjects. As we look to bring in a new superintendent, there needs to be a reflection on bringing back a foundational component of education while also balancing the needs of a modern society. Thank you.
Ms. Tusillo, you're next.
Our next superintendent must work with members of administration and teachers to serve the needs of the students and meet the district goals. It's vital that we hire a superintendent that has a vested interest in our community, staff, and students. They need to be effective leaders with excellent communication skills and the ability to clearly express their vision to their staff and the community. They need to ensure that they provide our teaching staff with the tools and resources they need to succeed, create a plan of action to improve the district in all facets, provide the time to execute the plans and see them to fruition, and create buy-in from teachers, parents, and other administrators. We need to ensure that they work cohesively with the board on developing district goals that guide us moving forward. They need to be able to implement inclusive recruitment strategies for the multiple open positions throughout the district, and we must find a way to reconnect with the staff, allowing them to provide feedback without fear of retribution. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we are done with the questions. Now we'll move on to the closing statements, and Mr. Wang will start. You have 1 minute.
Thank you, everybody, for your time tonight. I would like to give you a tip why I run for BOE, what I hope to achieve. TIP, TIP, which summarize what I have been talking about this evening. T for transparency. We need a better transparency and communications. I for inclusiveness. We need to include all the parties, parents, school administrator, teachers, and also students. P for priority. Priority on student. We need to put our student first. That's the tip for the better Holmdel education. TIP, TIP, transparency, inclusiveness, and the priority on student. Please vote line 2 for the best interest of our children on November 2nd. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Kollur.
We should put students first and get politics out of education. The real work lies in addressing interests of students across the entire breadth of spectrum. Special needs students on one hand, gifted, talented students on the other, and the middle students in the middle. I believe in transparency and bringing everyone together. I have been falsely accused of running on a union ticket, and I feel this to be an attack on my personal integrity. We have filed a complaint to the ethics department in this regard. Because I bring an independent, fresh, and open-minded approach with no personal or political agenda. Having navigated the healthcare system, I can transfer the same skills to the education system. As a surgeon, I can understand complex systems, see the problems as they are, fix what I can, and seek help when I can't fix them. I can bring that same approach to my work at the BOE. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. And Ms. O'Connor is next.
In closing, children learn best through positive, enriching experiences and encouraging environments. It is the job of the Board of Education to foster that environment. When that environment is provided, children are likely to become lifelong learners and go on to become successful adults in all aspects of life. So to all listening this evening, I ask for your vote for the Holmdel Board of Ed on November 2nd. I am committed to each and every child here in Holmdel. If you are a Holmdel voter but do not have children in the Holmdel school system, it is still important to realize that your taxes help fund our schools and that our school system plays an instrumental role in property value. The better the school system the Holmdel Board of Education can produce, the more valuable your property becomes. You are also making a decision that will impact the future of this great community. Holmdel has always been sought after because of its exceptional school district, and it is my goal to help get Holmdel back to the top of the list. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Perez.
It is a great privilege to present my answers tonight and to share this space with many wonderful candidates. The Board of Education is an essential organization that shapes the community. In order to have a healthy society, it is necessary to have an educated and informed group of citizens. The role of the Board of Education is to ensure that the next generation is equipped with skills, compassion, and a civic-minded duty to ensure the population and country prospers. I've spent more than half my life educating children. As an educator, I'm passionate in helping students grow in confidence and potential. I'm here to listen and to honor all viewpoints. I do hope that I will lead by example and be a positive role model for our children. I hope to earn your vote this November. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. CILU?
I'd like to think that we're all here looking to volunteer our time for the betterment of each and every Holmdel student. We may have different views as to what that is and how to get there, but I believe that we're coming from a good place. I know at times that may be hard to see, especially when certain members go on the attack and look to damage the reputation of others. I think we all agree that the board should be about our children, not politics or personal gain. I will commit to working with members of the board that share this value and work with them as a cohesive team to move things forward, because that's what our kids need and that's what they deserve. I'm hoping that my experience as an educator for over 20 years will allow me to offer a new perspective to this board, allowing us to finally create a non-hostile, collaborative, and highly effective learning environment as we strive to reach new heights for our students. Please visit the website or Facebook page for Better Holmdel Education. Thank you for your time and your vote.
Thank you. And last up is Terrence, Mr. Wall.
I want to thank you very much for the opportunity, and for the parents and kids. Isn't it great to be back in school? I'm thrilled to be a huge part with the team of the Board of Ed in this very successful school. And I ask you to turn away from the negativity that you're hearing tonight. You're in a great school. It's doing fantastic and will continue to succeed. I'm asking you for your vote for re-election. I'll continue to bring my experience to bear to make sure we're making good decisions each and every day. And I look forward to partnering with the parents and the teachers and the other folks that are involved in ensuring that we have a quality superintendent. I hear a lot of stones thrown at the board. I feel like I'm on a call where people just don't like the school system. And I'm here to tell you, great things are going on in the Holmdel schools, and you should be so proud of it and excited. So please go to Wall4HBOE on Facebook and also on Instagram, Vote Wall 2021. And let's move forward in a positive way for Holmdel.
Thank you very much. Thank you to everyone. And now back to Karen, who will give us some closing remarks.
Thank you, Board of Education candidates. That was really so well done. I hardly ever had to stop you before you finished. You were so well prepared, and it's going to be a really hard choice, I'm sure, for the community. Thank you to all the candidates who are taking the time out of your lives to work for the betterment of this town. Thank you also to the community for attending and sending questions to us to let us know your stance on important issues in Holmdel. So about the election. Election day this year will occur on Tuesday, November 2nd. The deadline to register to vote is tomorrow. New this year is in-person early voting. Polls are open 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. on Monday through Saturday and 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. on Sunday from Saturday, October 23 through Sunday, October 31st. You can go to monmouthcountyvotes.com to see where the closest polling stations are to you. Oh, I said it here. The closest early polling locations for Holmdel are the Coates Neck Library, the James Cullen Center in Hazlitt, and Croydon Hall in Middletown. If you choose instead to vote by mail, the deadline to apply for a ballot is October 26th. November 1st, if you go in person to the Board of Elections office. The vote by mail ballot must be postmarked by November 2nd and received by the Board of Elections by November 8th. Vote by mail ballots can be mailed, placed in a ballot drop box, or taken to the Board of Elections office in Freehold. Ballot drop boxes are available at the Holmdel Senior Center, the Motor Vehicles Agency at Airport Plaza, and many township municipal place buildings. All this information and more is available on the county website, www.monmouthcountyvotes.com. So there are lots of ways to vote, lots of ways to make your voices heard. We hope you gained insight tonight into the candidates to help you in voting decision. If you missed aspects of the event or want to rewatch it, the link to the forum will be posted on our Facebook page, Citizens for Informed Land Use CILU. If you enjoyed this event and want to join our group, we would welcome you. Our website is www.holmdel-cilu.org. And you can always just reach out to either Regina or myself. Remember, the more people who join us, the more informed we can become and the more we can accomplish to enrich our wonderful town of Holmdel. So thank you for your attention and good night.